How's it going?
Wonderful, man.
It's
Just look in the background. We are so jealous.
yeah, it's one of the nicest days since I've been here. We've had snow and no rain, but we've had snow and we've had cold. Last time we talked, I was you could see my breath. So
Yes.
it's a little later in the day now. It started out chilly this morning, but we came out here, got on site here probably around 9 a.m. and we started building this post and rail fence, which is primarily to keep cows out of this area because this is BLM land and it's all free range. Cow, you can't see any cows, but there could be cows
Wow.
out here. There were cows back closer to the road, and so you drive over those like cattle guard things
Yep.
to get back here on the roads, and they are currently pounding in another post. But we're pretty much done. So it's four-sided fence. There's one little access area there, and they've just got to complete this to that corner and then finish it over to here. So
who are you working with? What
I'm out here with
organization?
Tread Lightly and the BLM. So
And
that's Bureau of Land Management, not
in
the
Utah.
other
And so
BLM.
the fence is to keep cows out of what?
Out of this archaeological site. So this is called the Halfway Station. It was a stagecoach station. Let me turn this around. It's not like backwards or anything for anybody.
Yep.
So Halfway Station was a stagecoach stop,
Cool.
and I guess it was also here during the railroad. So this photo is from 1977. That's a sketch of what it would have looked like, and
Yep.
that's what's left of it today. So
Wow.
pretty cool. It's
So it's
not
just
much
to kind of
different.
preserve.
Sorry, say that again.
And so what you're doing is just to kind of preserve the historical significance of that space.
Right, yeah, because cows would come
Cool.
in here and lay down or rub up against the rocks and the posts, and it also could be a spot where somebody, if there was no fence or no signage, somebody might drive in here and set up camp and have a campfire, and
Yeah.
they might decide to do that right up against the rocks or something stupid. And so yeah, we're just making sure that this area is preserved and people can enjoy everything here responsibly. So there's a bicycle trail over here that you can also ride e-bikes on,
Oh,
but no
cool.
motorized use there. But actually, you can see maybe right now up along the ridge here. I believe that's one of the Gemini bridges, one of the trails. It might be Gemini bridges. That is one of the Jeep trails back there. So I've seen
Cool.
Jeeps driving along that ridge, and I've also seen Jeeps and side by sides driving up through these hills over here. So there's a couple of different access points back here. There's also like fossils and things. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. The thing I was doing with Tread Lightly on Monday was actually across. No, it was Sunday, but it was preparing for Tread Lightly to do work on Monday across the highway from here, and that would be, I think, the east side. We're on the west side right now. I might have that backwards, but there's like dinosaur tracks. There's like a dinosaur museum and stuff.
You're in Moab, Utah.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So
So
speak a little bit maybe about Tread Lightly and that organization, and
yeah,
maybe kind of what the organization does to preserve and protect, trail advocacy, that kind of stuff for all
so
that.
So the whole goal of Tread Lightly is really to make sure that people are enjoying the outdoors responsibly, particularly with motorized access,
Yep.
and we want to maintain that access for generations. So we want to make sure that people understand the way to use land and the way to be responsible about it. So there's a particular soil in this area called cryptobiotic soil, and it's like
Oh, that's right.
a
Yep.
living soil that is what helps to preserve moisture when it's available and germinate all the plants and everything out here. So without cryptobiotic soil, you would have none of the vegetation that you can see. And obviously, the vegetation looks very different from back east.
From Pennsylvania.
And yeah, but back here you see a bunch of tall trees, and that's not something you see very much. So there's a little bit of a watershed here as well. And so Tread Lightly is a volunteer, mostly volunteer-run organization. They do partner with different companies like this Can-Am. What is that thing called? A Defender. Can-Am Defender is so Can-Am is a partner, and
Cool.
they've helped Tread Lightly out with that as a tool for them to use to get out to areas and do projects. So everybody that you see over here, there's two Tread Lightly employees here. I take it back. There's three Tread Lightly employees. There is one BLM employee, and the rest are all volunteers, including myself.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
yeah. And so Tread Lightly, you can join as little as $25 a year. It's like 25, 50, 100, and on up. And that money goes to ensuring that projects like this can happen, to maintain access to land like this, you know, forever.
And I think they're also Tread Lightly is a pretty strong advocacy group as far as legislation goes as well.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
From a legislative standpoint, making sure that areas like much of those that are in southern Utah and throughout the country, frankly, not just exclusively there, are protected and available. So I think that's cool. So way to go, John. Kudos. All of us share this similar passion in dirt sports. I would say we all consider ourselves dirt sport enthusiasts, motorized dirt sports. So,
Yep.
What you're doing there is great, and especially what Tread Lightly.
It's a mutual hobby, really. Even though it's diversified, whether you get off road to hunt or just to enjoy wildlife, to camp, to hike, to bike, it's all falls under the same blanket, and we all miss out when things get closed. So yeah, so that's the whole name of the game here, is to make sure this has nothing to do with off-roading, except for the fact that people that want to come through here might do something irresponsible here if they don't know any better. So
yeah, I think we're all for responsible land use, so that's great.
Yep. Yeah, Tell it's not about making anybody feel bad or pointing anybody out, singling anybody out. It's just about learning and protecting.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about some of the trail rides you've been on. Obviously, the scenery behind you is just epic looking. I know we've been texting back and forth for a couple days. What trails have you run? Who did you go with? Any trail carnage? Talk about that stuff a little bit.
Yeah. So I'll just I'm not going to try to name days because I don't remember days of the week very well. But
I'll blur together.
The first day that I got out on the trail here was with the Skyjacker, was the industry brand that put it on.
Yeah,
that's why I'm wearing a Skyjacker hat currently.
See that?
So that was a pretty good ride. I mean, a lot of big names that you'd recognize. Christian Hazel was on that ride. Trent McGee. Like Ultimate Adventure is probably the biggest thing that you'd know them from, or Motor Trend. Dave Freiberger was on that ride. Dave, Dirthead Dave was out there as well. John Grounds is a Ultra 4 racer. He was out there in an Ultra 4 car. I was behind him for a while smelling race fuel. So that was cool. We did the trail Steelbender, which is like when you leave basically from town, and then it can be done as a loop. So we did the loop, which avoids the biggest, sketchiest obstacle, but there's a lot of big ledges, and there's with all the ledges out here, there's basically like an easy line and a hard line. Most of the ledges are kind of tapered, so people with different capabilities can do the trail, and it's all very scenic. You can see the LaSalle Mountains are the biggest mountains that you can see right from town, and they are covered in snow right now.
Yes.
So that first day was a really beautiful day. It was very windy, but very clear. And then the next 2 days, it was snowing a bit. So the next day, we did a trail called Hunter's Canyon, and that was a long trail, pretty low altitude. So not a whole lot of like real crazy epic views, but it's always cool to be in those canyons. You know, the canyon walls are around you.
Right.
There was some water.
Yeah.
It's just so different from anything on the East Coast. That was with Warren, so a lot of good people on that ride as well. And then the day after that, it was just me and Eric from Torque Masters in his Jeep, and we went up Poison Spider. From Poison Spider, there's this crazy outlook directly over the city of Moab. So from there, I believe you were looking west. And
Nice.
so you can see the Colorado River, you can see the town, and it's like a nice panorama. It's like kind of like top of the world. I mean, you're about that same altitude. Top of the world is a trail for people that don't know that you might have seen. It has like a ledge that juts out, and people drive right to the edge. And then if you look at it from the side, it looks like you're just, hanging off of a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's similar to that, but it's kind of cool because it's like you're looking through this like cutout in the rock. So there's like canyon wall on either side, but you can drive up and look out, and it just kind of opens up around you. Yesterday we got out to Area BFE, which is the most similar thing to like a Roush Creek that we have out here. So it's a private land off-road park, but it basically draws all of the features of the whole area of Moab into one place. So you've got mountaintops, you've got canyons, and you've got dirt, you've got rocks, you've got sand. So it's a really cool area. And that's the only place we really saw any carnage so far. And it wasn't anything terrible, but there was like a kind of a little bowl that we went into. And as Eric came up out of that with his Jeep, it tipped on its side, landed just on the upper part of the roll cage up against a rock. But it was so flopped on its side that all the transmission fluid didn't leak out, but it was all in, sloshed to one side, and must have not been getting picked up by the pump anymore. So he was trying to put it in reverse, but it wouldn't move. So he could shift, but no movement. So we had to get pulled out of that, but it was no big deal. Yeah. And then shortly after that, we had a trail repair, which was a guy that had full hydro steering, and he was using a ram, not like a hydro. I don't know what those are called, but a lot of people had like the two-way ram that's like mounted to the axle. This guy had a tie rod and a ram, kind of like you would see for hydro assist, but he had no drag link. It was just running an orbital, and his mount for that on the axle tore off.
Whoops.
So yeah, that was just I guess the welds that he did on or whoever did on the cast part of the differential did not penetrate. So it looked good, but in stress, it did not hold up.
So did you guys do some trail welding to fix that then?
Yeah, one of the guys we were with had a whole setup on his LJ that it was a GM alternator and some homebrew setup. So he had the leads and he had it was a stick welder. So he had a bunch of rods with him, and he set right to it, climbed under there. It took about 45 minutes to get it all back to where it needed to be and weld it back together.
Cool.
Sometimes the repair is like as much fun as well.
Yeah, it's part of the
adventure. Yeah, and they feel bad, of course, and you feel bad when you're the one that breaks. They're like, "Oh, you guys can go ahead. We'll catch up. It's fine." And it's like, no, this is just it was right about lunchtime. We hadn't stopped for lunch yet, so it was kind of like, okay, we'll take lunch, and this is enjoyable. We'll help where we can and watch when we can't help, and it was it's camaraderie. It's a good
That's
time.
right. Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest parts about this industry specifically is that we've got all these vendors out there who are technically all competitors,
right?
But they're out on the same trail ride, having fun together, just like enjoying the sport, and I think that's awesome. So, our last live stream was when you were in the Jeep vendor booth, and Jeep had something under wraps there that they then released later. What was that?
That was the 2024 Wranglers.
Sweet.
So I'll have to go back and check those out. At least get some pictures of them. I haven't gotten to stop by yet, but yeah, 2024 Wrangler. There's a couple cool options with those. There's an optional full float Dana 44 that you can order with it.
Wow, cool.
So yeah, I know at least one of the ones they have on display there is a 392. So it has the full float Dana 44. So I want to check that out. And there's a whole new redesigned, well, not really redesigned, but a updated dash.
Yeah.
So there's a
iPad
like
looking
11-inch.
screen.
Yeah, it's like a horizontal 11-inch screen, and the gauges are a little bit different. The like the glove box kind of airbag area looks different. And the other big thing that everybody's super happy about is power adjustable seats. So I think that's probably standard in like the Rubicon and the 392, and probably like the Mojave and some of those kind of upfitted models. But it's that's a feature that made a lot of people very happy. If you own a JL, you know that the base is fixed and the angle of it is not great for a lot of people.
Right.
And just having that adjustability, especially on a longer drive, to be able to just change the way that the seat's pressuring your legs is kind of a key feature. So
yeah,
nice.
Well, I appreciate doing this live stream with us. It's so cool to just see the scenery behind you there.
Yeah.
If you've got more photographs, share them to our story, because I'd love to see some of those scenic pictures.
Yeah, I had a bunch of cool ones from yesterday, so I'll send those over and pop them on the story.
That'd be great. Yeah. So if you're watching this and you want to see some of the scenery from Moab, check out our story a little bit later, and we'll get some pictures out. So it looks like you're having a good time. Don't get sunburnt out there.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's turning to a tan. So
make sure you
get sunburned at this. No clouds in the sky, and we're a little closer to the sun at this altitude. So
have you been to the brewery yet? The Moab Brewery? I know it's a big place.
I was there last year. I haven't been there this year.
Nice.
But yeah, good stuff.
Cool. Awesome, John. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for updating us with your trip.
Yeah.
Kudos again on being able to go out there. Thanks for doing what you're doing with Tread Lightly.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you back next week here in the office.
All righty.
All right.
Take the time, guys.
Yeah. Take care.
All right. Bye.